Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, Say What's Real TV. This review will be for American Gigolo, Season 1, Episode 5, The Escape Wheel. So the episode opens up with creepy-ass McGregor putting up missing poster signs of Colin. This man looks so creepy, oh my God. But we still don't know what he does. Let Michelle tell it. She knows what he does. We have yet to find out what the hell McGregor does. Last time we saw him, he was sitting outside of Julian's apartment watching him pull off to go to the club. So we haven't seen him since. So, child, we don't know what this man do, but I know he looked creepy as hell. And then, does anybody else think that he was Bert, the one that Olga put out her car to let Julian drive that time and put him out on the side of the road in the desert? Because they sure had the same little build. So as we get into the episode, as we remember, Michelle had her raggedy ass sitting on Julian's doorstep last week. So they're going inside now. And I'm quite surprised that the landlord didn't say anything to her from hanging out in front of the door, because you know she sees everything, so it's strange that wasn't an issue. But anyway, Julian lets Michelle in. They go inside. He offers her a glass of water or something to drink. We couldn't even drink the damn water good enough, and Michelle just, within the first 5 seconds says, "Oh, do you remember the pictures we took down at the pier that time?" And Julian smiled. "Yeah, I remember." Like, oh my God. So she was like, "Well, my son I gave them all to my son." So Julian whispers, "Why would you do that, Michelle?" She says, "Because I wanted him to know who his father was. He's your son, John." And I'm like, why? First of all, we already figured that shit out in episode 1. We knew this. We already knew that, but could we have gotten like a more dramatic type reveal, like something a little more with some kind of excitement to it, or like a dun dun dun? We didn't even get that. The shit was kind of lackluster, just like it just seemed like it was forced and thrown in there, like. So the first thing Julian says is, "Are you sure?" So Julian starts rambling on about how he didn't have a father and how this person wasn't there and that person. I don't know what Julian talking about. Michelle saying she didn't have a dad either. Like, we don't care. At this point, we don't care. Julian ends up saying, why are you here? Why are you telling me all of this? Michelle says, "I need your help. He's in trouble. Colin is in trouble. Colin was with this woman and he ran away with her, and she was found murdered in a hotel room, and I just need your help." What the hell Julian's supposed to do? I'm confused. You with a man who got all kind of goons, Mr. Clean and Mr. McGregor, who you knows what he does. So why the hell you want Julian to help? What he gonna do? He don't have no resources to do shit. I'm confused, but the biggest part of that, you told him all of that, but you didn't tell him the picture that y'all took at the pier was found at the murder scene. Why did you leave that part out, Michelle? Michelle is nothing but trouble. Leave that man alone, girl. So in the next scene, we see the cleaning lady that saw Colin in the little storage room and allowed him to stay in there without saying anything. We see her walking in the middle of the night, maybe just getting off her shift or something. And she just so happens to walk past this sign of Colin that McGregor put up. I guess she said, "I can't speak no English, but I can damn sure read it." And all she saw probably was reward. Mama got that doggone flyer and put it in her purse like, "I'm calling this damn number. You hear me?" So then we see Julian. I guess he can't sleep. He been up all night. Because when him and Michelle first went in the apartment, it was like maybe 11:40 or something. Now it's like 5:30 in the goddamn morning. Julian still sitting up, still got on his damn clothes from the night before where he ain't even took a bath now. He done been hunching all on Ann and all in the club with Julian, not Julian, with Lorenzo and Isabel. He done been picking up bloody dogs, all in the vet's office all night, drunk as a skunk. He done even sat out in front of Michelle's house. He ain't told that yet. But he just done been all over the place. Ain't took a bath the first, Ain't did shit. He's sitting up there looking at Michelle sleep on the couch. Now, I would think that with all the flashback these two done had about each other, hugging and kissing and God knows what else, I'm surprised they ain't in the bed. But I'm glad they not, because I didn't want to see that bullshit anyway. So he's sitting up there looking at her, and I guess his mind just racing a mile a minute. So he decides he's going to get up and leave her sleeping on his sofa. Like, what, Julian? What? Why would you leave Michelle sitting and sleep on your sofa? Like, why are you so trusting of her? Like, she come in there, drop this little bomb on your ass, and you ain't say you gonna take a test. You ain't saying shit. You just like, she says your child, you like, okay. Like, what? As he walks out the door and leave her sleep, then her phone is ringing and it's Richard calling, I guess, to see where the hell she at, because she been out all night. So while Richard is calling Michelle, he ends up getting the voicemail. He's sitting there looking all dirty and distraught and depressed or whatever. And then he has this flashback with him and a very young Colin, and they're sitting in, I guess, his office at the time, and he teaches him, I guess, for the first time, how to make a watch from scratch. So I guess he makes clocks and watches, timepieces. So they have this dialogue about how it looks like, Colin said it looked like a bunch of junk, and he said that it's just chaos and ends up being harmony. Well, I don't know. Anyway, he teaches him, I guess, for the first time, how to make watches, how to make a watch, his own very first watch. And the room pans his office, and you just see all these different clocks all over his office. That was a big-ass office. But then that flashback comes back into present time, and we see Colin in the storage room, holding, I guess, his very first watch that he made with Richard. He's just laying there holding the watch. I need someone to explain to me why Colin is still in the storage room. Colin is grown as hell. He got a mouth on him. He talked back to his mama, but you mean to tell me he around here hunching grown women and all of this, but he don't know how to get his ass up out of that storage room to go find help to get to his mama so he can get up out that mess? I just don't understand that. Colin should be smart enough or have a little bit of sense to get his ass up out of there. That's crazy. So Julian left his apartment, still dirty as hell, goes to see Bo, the guy that he did time with and that helped him get the little job at the restaurant where he is. So he goes to see Bo, and Bo said, don't come walking up on me looking like you've been discoing all night. So they sit down, and Julian says, I have a question for you. And he said, well, the first one is free. Julian said, I found out I got a kid. Bo said, God damn. He said, you just got out. You work fast. So Julian tells him, my kid, he's in trouble and I don't know what to do. And Bo was like, what do you mean you don't know what to do? He said, I know this ain't the Julian I know that I walked the yard with. This can't be that Julian. Julian says, I didn't have a dad, man. I'm like, what? So Bo says, well, hell, you should want to do better than what he did for you. And Bo basically tells him, he said, I'll walk through hell with gasoline draws on about mine. He's like, get out there and go help your damn child. So Julian tells him thank you. So Julian goes to the hotel where Colin and Elizabeth were, and I don't know how the hell he know what room number they in, but he goes to try to open the door and looking through the window or whatever. But then he sees someone watching from across the way, so he goes on and leaves. As he's leaving, he sees the missing persons flyer of Colin. So he stares at it and he snatches it down, and I guess he goes and calls Michelle and says, did you put these flyers up? And she said, no. He said, because this is not your number. He said, what do you have me doing? And she can't answer or whatever. And she said, so how do you know it's him? And he said, because I'm looking in his face, basically saying, I see myself in this picture, so I know it's him. And he's like 15 years old, Michelle, 15. Like, when did you know? Like, when did you know? Like, Michelle does not answer the question. Michelle wants to take us into this flashback. She never answers the question. So she just tells him, oh, you don't remember that night that we conceived him? So we get that whole flashback of when they were at some bar one night and pretending to be Veronica and Huck, child, and had this wild, passionate love-making session where Colin was conceived. Child. As Julian continues to walk and looking, trying to find clues to where maybe Colin could be, he sees these two ladies, so he stops and asks them, excuse me, ma'am. One of the ladies was like, ma'am? Like, who the hell you calling ma'am? So she looks and she sees that it's Julian, and apparently she recognized him. And she's like, Julian, Kate? Julian? Oh, no, Julian, my bro, my baby brother. And they hug, and he's like, oh, Penelope, and they hug, and they're laughing and smiling, and it's been a long time. They chopping it up, reminiscing about people they know in the past and how long it's been since they've seen each other. And Julian is like, well, how have you been? What's been going on with you? And she was like, well, after you got arrested and Olga got fucked up, she said she didn't get fucked up because she couldn't stand Olga ass anyway. She wasn't getting fucked up. She said Isabel took over and the shit just got weird, and she said she was just getting too old for all that bullshit Isabel was trying to do, so she came and got her own little spot. And Julian was like, damn, this your spot? And she was like, yeah, one thing Olga did teach me was seize the means for production. So she got a little spot going on. So she tells Julian, she says, I'm not trying to be rude or nothing, but ain't you supposed to be in jail? Julian was like, well, yeah, I got out. So she was like, congratulations, baby, congratulations. You know, good for you. And so the girl that she was with was like, well, what does the K stand for Julian K? And Penelope Diamond says it stands for cock. She said he has a big ass cock. We couldn't spell worth a damn as a kid because we were some badass kids. And they laughed about it. And the little girl says, she's not a little girl, but the other lady says, well, what brings you down this way, Julian? And so he tells them that he has a kid and that he's looking for him, and because he ran away and he's missing. So Penelope Diamond, I guess she was like, oh, baby, don't worry about it. We're going to find him. We're going to find him. So she pulls him inside and reassures him that it was going to be okay. We get this split-second scene of Mr. Clean trying to call McGregor on the phone, and he is like, McGregor, where the hell are you? He hangs up, and as soon as he hangs up, we see Stratton trying to call him, but it looks like he doesn't answer. So then we see Michelle. She's coming back inside of Julian's apartment. I don't know where the hell she looked like. She'd been out to get food and buying flowers and all this shit, coming and going like she lived there now. Like, girl, I mean, you only been there a couple of hours and you already know the ins and outs. And do you have a key? When did you get a key? Like, I don't get it. And then why the hell is Michelle? She sits down to eat her food and she is biting into the sandwich like she has not eaten in months of Sundays. I mean, is Stratton not feeding her? Or, I mean, I didn't get it. Like, why was she eating the burger like that? So I guess one of the little establishments that Penelope / Diamond owns is one of these little motels in the area. So her and Julian go and knock on one of the doors in there. And I guess she knows there's some kids in there, some teenagers. So she goes and knock on the door, and one of the guys opens up. She says, "What's up, crackhead Gene?" So Julian bogarts his way up in there because you see a bunch of teenagers in there. He goes and look around real quick, and Gene says something to him, and he jack him up against the wall like, "Don't play with me." So they, the kids tell them they didn't see Colin, and so they walk out of there. I guess while Michelle was enjoying her burger, she was having this flashback with her and Julian where they got into this dumbass argument about nothing and how they ended up making up in the pool afterwards. So she ends up trying to straighten up a little bit. And next thing we know, we see Detective Sunday walking past the window. So Michelle is trying to duck and try to hide. And Sunday is yelling from outside like, "Mrs. Stratton, open the door. Let me in, Mrs. Stratton. I know you're in there. I saw when you bought the plant." I'm like, oh my God, this lady is relentless. So Detective Sunday is yelling through the door, "Well, I came over here to look for Julian, and here you are. Like, what are you doing over here? So, hey, since I caught you over here, it is what it is." Now, keep in mind, Michelle told her a couple of episodes ago that she didn't know Julian, and he was just a prostitute that she used, for a little party 1 or 2 times. But, oh, now I find you over here at this man's house. So, girl, cut the shit. So she asks her to open the door. She opens the door finally, and Sunday is like, "Michelle, how you doing? I'm just trying to see if you can help me and come down to the precinct with me." So Michelle was like, "Well, are you trying to arrest me?" She was like, "If I was going to arrest you, you would already know it." She said, "I just want you to come down, look at my board, and see if you can see what it is that I'm seeing." Now, my thing is that something real? Because that just seems kind of far-fetched for a detective to have an ongoing investigation, and you allow potential suspects to come and look at the board. Like, that doesn't make sense. So Michelle lets Detective Sunday in Julian's house. She's acting like it's her house. And she says, "Well, let me just change my clothes and I'll go down to the precinct with you." And Sunday is like, "Girl, you don't have to change your clothes. It's just the precinct. Like, you don't have to do all of that." So she goes in, and Michelle goes and changes her clothes anyway. And as she does that, Detective Sunday, she nosy as hell. She sees this folder, which we know is the folder that Julian left on his counter, because, that's his house where he lives alone. So, you wouldn't expect nobody to be fumbling through your shit. But, now here she is flipping all through the folder of Lisa Beck and taking pictures on her phone. So she's talking to her, so, "Oh, it sure smells good in here. It smells like In-N-Out burger." And she says, "Well, my name is Joan. And is it okay if I call you Michelle?" Like, what was the point in that little part? That Detective Sunday is kind of weird. So Sunday and Michelle finally make it down to the precinct, and as they're looking at the board, Michelle was like, "Well, what the hell my name doing on the board?" And Sunday gives her this look like, "Are you for real? Like, are you serious?" Like, why the hell wouldn't it be on the board? So she goes to the board to try to explain to her just why the hell it is on the board. And then she says, "And by the way, let me just add your husband's name up on this piece, because of course we see like this shit is just really like a little love triangle filled with jealousy." Well, look who we see. I guess Colin decided to take heed from what I was saying earlier in the episode and get his ass up out that goddamn storage room. Because now we see him, he's at the pawn shop trying to get rid of the watch that he made. And the guy told him $275, and Colin was like, "No, $275. He was like, "Yeah, what brand is it? There's no brand." He was like, "What do you mean no brand? I mean, this is the finest of the finest." He like, "You got rubies and this and that and the other." And the guy was like, "Oh yeah? Well, $350." Sunday sits down with Michelle after getting them some snacks and asks her, does Richard know anything about Julian? But Michelle tells her that she doesn't think so. She asked him about her whereabouts the night that Janet was killed, and was she with Stratton that night? And Michelle tells her that it was so long ago, it was 15 years ago. I'm quite sure that I was with him at some point in time throughout the evening. And Sunday says, well, will he vouch for you? Will he corroborate your story? And Michelle was like, yeah, of course he will. She was like, well, give me his number. I'm going to call him. And I want the direct line, please. So she told her to write his number down on a Post-it note. We're going to give him a call and see what he can tell us. And Michelle is insisting that Stratton doesn't know anything about what's going on. And when she sees that Detective Sunday is dead as serious and getting ready to make this call, she gives her this little scared, stern look and was like, hang up the phone. The Sunday tells her she must be protecting someone, and Michelle said, yes, it's my son. He is missing. He ran away. He was with the lady that was found murdered in the hotel room that night, and he had the picture on him of me and Julian. He had the picture on him. So Detective Sunday was like, whoa, hold up. Like, you mean to tell me the teacher, that was your son's teacher in there? And Michelle was like, yes. She asked her for a picture of Colin. So she shows her this like Photoshop picture where you can tell they tried to combine Colin's picture with Julian's picture because Colin doesn't look like that. The photo is clearly Photoshopped for TV purposes. So Detective Sunday asked her, how long has Colin been missing? And Michelle says he's been missing for 6 damn days. Like, goddamn, 6 days? Has it been 6 days, Michelle? Your child ripping and roaming the streets? So she says, Michelle tells Detective Sunday, so try helping me find my child instead of bringing me in here looking at this bullshit ass board up here because I don't know what the hell you're talking about anyway. So Detective Sunday says, well, does Julian know? Why she asks that? Because I guess when she looks at this Photoshop picture, all she sees is Julian's eyes, so she automatically done figured out that that is Julian's child. Michelle doesn't even answer the question. We then see Mr. Clean / Panish. He done went and got the hotel clerk and brought him back to the precinct to talk to the detectives. We know that the clerk is on payroll now. He has access to that black card, so whatever the hell Panish Mr. Clean needs from him, that's what the hell he's gonna do with his scary ass. So he goes inside the precinct and we see him sitting down with a photo of Julian in front of him, and he positively 100% says that Julian is the person who was with Elizabeth in the hotel room the night that she was murdered. So as Mr. Clean is waiting for the clerk, the hotel clerk, to come back from out of the precinct, he gets a call from McGregor. We see McGregor, he's over there with the cleaning lady. I told y'all that lady was going to get that money. You hear me? She was playing no game. She called that number. So she goes to get the money, and McGregor tells Mr. Clean, I'm going to get the kid. So Mr. Clean was like, where are you? He said, I'm going to the Woodman Hotel, room 109. And he was like, okay, I'll be there as soon as I can. So we see Julian and Penelope Diamond. They're sitting there kicking the bobo, sharing a big gulp together. And Julian was like, man, I don't even know what we're out here doing. And she's like, what? He says, I don't even know this kid. Like, what the hell? I'm looking for somebody I don't know for. So she's getting ready to mention something about Julian and responsibility and all of that. And off in the distance, she sees 2 people struggling, like they're fighting or something. So Penelope Diamond is like, Jay, you seeing this shit? And the 2 are just struggling. We see that it's McGregor and Colin, and he's trying to get Colin to the car. Julian is calling out Colin's name like he knows Colin like the back of his hand all of a sudden, but okay. So they get to running towards the car. McGregor is shoving Colin in this little ass car. I mean, Colin must be weak as hell. Cause McGregor, I mean, come on now. It's a two-seater, and he is able to actually he is able to actually get Colin in the car by himself with his tall, thin behind. But anyway, so as he has already shoved, because we don't see it, but he's already put Colin in the back seat. They pan to his hand. They want us to know that McGregor has this particular tattoo on his hand. So now you see Julian. Now he is chasing behind the car, but by this time, McGregor has sped the hell off with Colin in the back seat. But we see Colin is noticing that Julian is chasing behind the car. Okay, so I just thought about something, and I don't understand. We saw earlier on in the episode, Colin went to try to pawn his watch that he made. The guy was going to give Colin at least, at the most, $350 for the watch. Now, my thing is, whether he sold the watch or not, whether he got the money or not, he brought his ass out of the room, right? So if you were not that scared to where you actually left the room to go to the pawn shop, you should have been able to leave the room to take your ass home. If you didn't have any money, you could have asked somebody to use their phone to call your mom. I don't get that shit. Why did you take your ass to the pawn shop? May or may not have sold the watch, but then you could take your ass back to room 109? Man, that shit don't make sense. Somebody make that make sense for me. Why is Colin still in the room to even be able to be kidnapped? Can somebody tell me why Colin went back to the room? Please make it make sense, please. So in the next scene, Detective Sunday, she's calling Stratton on his private line. He answers and like, how did you get my number? Detective Sunday says, I have some sensitive issues I would like to discuss with you. Stratton didn't give a damn about what she had to discuss. He wanted to know, how did you get my phone number? She tells him his wife gave it to her, and next thing we know, he's down inside to the precinct in her office. So Stratton's asked, why am I here, and why are you talking to my wife? And Sunday is like, well, she didn't tell you. He was like, no, I don't follow what's going on. Tell me, like, what the fuck going on? She says that a picture of Julian, Kate, and your wife were found at the murder scene where Elizabeth was. And basically Sunday's trying to, I guess, see if he knows anything about Julian. Stratton keeps a straight face like, I don't know shit, but don't trust it. I don't trust it. He knew. He keeping a good straight face, but Sunday, I guess she falls for it, but she goes and spills the bean on everything like, oh, those two had a relationship 15 years ago, and Julian was a male prostitute, and Stratton was like, well, what business of that is yours? You know, she said, because I'm the one that put him in jail. So I don't understand, why is Detective Sunday able to give out that kind of information to anybody that is not a detective or on investigating. This is an ongoing investigation. Why are you telling what evidence is being found to the public? If it wasn't released on the news for them to identify who was in the picture, why are you telling Stratton? That just doesn't seem realistic. But anyway, what it boiled down to, Stratton never said anything about the whole Julian affair part 2 Sunday. He basically wanted to know, was Colin a suspect in Elizabeth's murder? And he wanted to know, will Detective Sunday help find Colin? And she agreed that she would. So Mr. Clean pulls up to the motel to go over there to meet McGregor. So he's looking around. I guess he doesn't see McGregor, so he proceeds to go inside room 109, the little storage room. He goes in there, and McGregor has left him a little envelope with his name on it. So he opens it up, and it's a goddamn ransom note from McGregor creepy ass telling him he wants $3 million or he's gonna spill the beans about him being the one that killed Elizabeth that night. I said, well, I be goddamn. That damn McGregor ain't nothing to be played with. He done went and set damn Mr. Clean up. So Mr. Clean gets mad as hell. He start tearing the goddamn room up, calling McGregor a motherfucker. So when Mr. Clean finished tearing up the already messed up room, he's sitting on the bed. He's out of breath, hyperventilating, trying to think of his next move. Then all of a sudden the phone rings. We see that it's Stratton. He sees that it's Stratton, and he just like, oh my God, he is super stressed now. He's hyperventilating. So we see Stratton. He's walking out the precinct, and he tells him, I need you to meet me now. And we hear Mr. Clean in the background stuttering and staring like, He was like, you got 20 minutes to get your ass there. And it's interesting to see this scene because we have seen Mr. Clean the entire series be the cool, calm, collective one that was running around handling shit. Now you see him off his square. He don't know what the fuck to do. And it's interesting how that shit flipped just that quick. When Mr. Clean hangs the phone up with Stratton, he gets this alert on his phone. So when he looks at the phone, we see that it's an actual Amber Alert for Colin with all his information on it, letting everyone know officially that this kid is missing and they are looking for him. So as Stratton is headed home, he focuses again on the watch. He then has this flashback once again of him and young Colin, with him giving Colin the watch and explaining how the two of them will be linked up and in sync, you know, forever and all of this and that. I don't really know what Stratton was talking about. If anybody can make sense of the whole situation with him and the time and the syncing and the linking of him and Colin with the watch, please let me know, because I didn't get it. But maybe there's a tracking device in the watch. I don't know. It was all weird, but that was his whole thing, the entire episode, flashing back to the watch. So Mr. Clean finally makes it over to Stratton's, and he's like, who is Julian K? And where's my son? I thought you had everything handled. And Mr. Clean was like, well, Colin is no longer a suspect. Little does he know. Well, he said that because he know what he set up when it came to Julian. But anyway, he's like, did you know my wife had an affair with this Julian K? And what am I paying you for? And you supposed to be taking care of all this bullshit. And he just yells and screams. Mr. Clean is trying to calm him down like, Richard, just listen, going on and on. So Mr. Stratton finally yells to the top of his lung, the most energy we've seen in him since the series started, get the fuck out of my house. I'm like, child, please. We see Detective Sunday sitting in her office at the precinct. She gets a call from the captain, I guess, and he tells her, yeah, your boy has been identified from an eyewitness as the one at the scene of Elizabeth's murder, and we will be picking him up today. So, you know, Detective Sunday, she ain't with that, so she gets up and haul ass. I don't know where she's going, though. So Julian goes home driving like a bat out of hell, and Michelle is outside smoking a cigarette. She sees him. She goes to greet him and asks him, did he find out anything? And Julian's like, I saw this kid. Now it's a kid, but before you knew it was Colin when you saw him from afar chasing the car down. But anyway, he says, I saw a kid being put in back of a red BMW, and Michelle was like, I know that car. And Julian's like, you know that car? You know that car, Michelle? Damn, didn't she just say she know the car, Julian? Damn. And he was like, well, what does it mean? What does it mean? Two of them are going back and forth about that bullshit in the red car when all of a sudden the police comes and swarms in and tells Julian to put his hands up and do all of this. And so they handcuff him. They end up putting him in the back of the car. He's looking at Michelle and she's calling out his name. I'm like, girl, we don't want to see your ass. Go home somewhere, child. So he starts doing all this damn reflecting on their whole relationship. So we got to suffer through yet another flashback of him and raggedy ass Michelle. Why are we worrying about that, Julian, when your ass, your dumb ass, is now getting ready to be charged with another murder that you did not commit? Why are we doing flashbacks, Julian? We don't give a damn about how happy you thought you were with Michelle raggedy ass. So they get him down to the precinct and they sit him in the interrogation room, and that is where the episode ends, you guys. What did you guys think of this week's episode? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments down below and we can discuss it. I would like to know the significance of the gold watch. Stratton focused on that way too much throughout the entire episode, so I mean, it must mean something, so I'm curious now. Also, where did McGregor take Colin, and is McGregor working alone? Is Stratton behind the whole thing and playing naive and slow about it? Or is someone totally different pulling the strings when it comes to McGregor kidnapping, going behind Mr. Clean's back and getting Colin and asking for the $3 million? That's quite interesting. Mr. Gregor is very interesting to me because, you know, Michelle tells us all the time she knows what he does. So little by little, we see little things with him. Also, where is the damn landlord? It's too much action going on outside her door for her not to bring her nosy behind outside. Julian couldn't even look at the for rent sign with the dog without her coming out there acting a fool. So where's she at when Michelle's sitting all on the steps all night and now the police all up in front of her door? Girl, where you at? So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Catch you next week for episode 6. Peace.